Okay, guys, I want you to know I intentionally left that accident up because I think it's really, really important for you guys to see that, yeah, when you do certain things, like for instance, remember I mentioned that the spray paint tool, this guy right here, causes the computer to throw up? If you go back and watch a tutorial, you'll realize that that's true, that I did say that. One of the things you need to understand is, yeah, you have to be careful about that. That is with these computers have very, very high amounts of RAM, and they also have a very, very enhanced graphics card, which that also, as I remember I explained earlier, I didn't want to use TrueSpace 5 for that, 7 for that reason. Yeah, computer seize up happens frequently. If you are wise, you will make a habit of saving things. Okay, but let's go back to what we were doing. I do personally really like bump maps, so I'm going to put a bump map on this guy. I'm going to decrease the scale, I think, so it's a little bit smaller, a little bit more interesting to look at, and I'm going to paint it. There we go. So there's my name. All right. Now, if you go over here to the side and you look at these little texture balls, I'm going to try granite again, see if it explodes my computer. I don't think it will this time. Yep, there it goes. Now, you notice that all the names, letters wrote. What seemed to happen is the ones that I'd use the spray can on were the ones that would not repaint, and then when I tried to do it a couple of times, the computer started crying and decided to have a hissy fit. All right, now, you can do all sorts of cool things with all of these guys, all right? I actually think that you can probably do some things in terms of messing around with these. Let's see what we got. If I click the expand button, what does that do? Oh, there we go. There's a color, and you notice it has a different gray. And if I click the arrow, you notice I can actually play with this a little bit, just for the fun of it. I'm going to click on this guy right now, and I'm going to make the color just really weird and funky just for the fun of it, to see what happens. Now, you notice that I just put a different color in. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the Render Object button. Whoops, I'm in the wrong frame. You can actually decide what colors you want to be there. Okay? You can also do some other stuff, too. You can also play with transparencies if you want. There's all sorts of cool stuff you can do. I expect you guys to experiment. You can also play with brick. Let's put brick in there instead. Boom. All right, and again, you're playing with the texture. Let's see what we can do. Usually with stuff like this, you can always that. But these are called textures. They're not what I would consider a texture, which is a bump map. Okay? All right, so there you go. So that's basically how you can make colors. I expect you guys to play around with these and have fun with it. Something, when you finish yours, should look very, very uniquely your own. Okay, I'm going to click on this to close it down. Oh, there is one other thing I do want to show. You see these materials? If you go into the gray, right-click, and you go Load, there's a ton more of options. My personal favorite is Motown. Okay? And this is a really cool-looking brick, because this brick, when you paint that, that brick actually has a bump map attached to it that's the same picture. All right? So in other words, when I zoom in, and I'm going to actually do this, I've painted it with that color. I want to show you what that does, because that actually is quite cool. All right? Let's close this down. And I'm going to close all these guys down. Watch what happens when I go to the full version and zoom in. Okay, I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to go Object Zoom. And if you look very, very carefully at this guy, I'm going to move into the center. Watch what happens when I render the object. If you look very carefully, you'll notice you actually can see the brick bump map in addition to the brick texture. Okay, that's a very, very cool feature. Okay, so that's basically how we use textures and colors. And what we're going to do next is we're going to actually start talking about what are some background effects and some foreground effects that we can put in.